Hey guys, my name's SJ. I am a mum of 3 and I live in London, and I wanted to share a bit of our story about toddler speech delay today. It's something that I found really hard to talk about on YouTube or in real life, even with people I'm very close to. I find it very emotional to talk about. I think it's just admitting that something is wrong, that there's a big problem there, feeling all that guilt because obviously you blame yourself, and then knowing it's something that's going to make your child's life harder is really hard. And speech, language, communication skills are so crucial to getting on well in life that it's just a very difficult thing to go through. So I wanted to share today the signs that your toddler may have speech and language delay. I'm not an expert, I'm just a mum going through this, and these are my personal signs that I experienced with my son. I've actually watched a couple of videos of these on YouTube and realised that my signs were quite different, and that's probably because there's different ways that speech and language development delays happen and present themselves. So I'll also link a couple of other videos below that I watched that you might want to watch as well, to sort of see if that seems even closer to your experience. But yes, it's a really difficult thing to go through. So yeah, this is my story of the warning signs that I had that my toddler had a speech delay. So from when he was very young, he was always using gestures, a lot of hand gestures. It was almost like he had created his own kind of like sign language, and it was a lot of like, we used to sort of laugh a little bit at him because he would like point to the kitchen, then he would point like this, and then he would point like this to tell us he wanted us to go into the kitchen, go around the corner and go to the fridge to get him something. He wouldn't use words to do that, and he was doing that from a very young age, before we sort of really noticed that the words weren't coming, and it must have been because he was just finding it easier to communicate that way, and he was overcompensating with these gestures. Obviously we thought it was like adorable and just a little quirky thing about him. He's our second child, so our eldest, we did kind of have those comparisons, and it was more when I was thinking things like, I used to sing a lot of nursery rhymes, he would never join in. Yes, they will find coping mechanisms or way to overcompensate for their lack of wanting or finding it easy to say the words, so watch out for that. A second sign is that just missing early words or early concepts. So I guess the reason why I found this really hard when we first noticed it was because he never said mama, never said mummy, and that really upset me. And again, it was sort of started off as a bit of a family joke, like, because he would say his own versions of like daddy, which goes like daddy, and Freddie, who's his older brother, like a, because none of the sounds were pronounced. But he never had a word for me at all, and I found that really odd, because I would have understood it more with the first child, because no one's calling you mummy, so where would they get that word from, apart from, you know, you're saying all the time, obviously, like say mama, say mama. But he already had an older brother in the house calling me mummy. It was probably one of the words he heard most often, but he never used it. And if he wanted me, he would just say, hey, hey. And I don't know why that was. I think it was maybe he was struggling with that sound, and also concepts of self, and that. I think sometimes children with a speech delay also have problems with certain concepts, and that was something that really noticed, and that upset me straight away. So when he was around 2, when I should have gone for his kind of development check-in, I'd already registered this as a problem. I didn't go to that check-in because I didn't feel ready to address it, and I was kind of trying to address it in my own ways at home, which I'll talk about in my next video, which will be about how to, the do's and don'ts of dealing with it, and what you should do to help at home and what you shouldn't do, which is avoid the issue. But when you're very emotionally wrapped up in your own child, it's sometimes very hard to see the woods from the trees, and I just hoped this would be something that was temporary and that we would kind of grow out of it. The next thing he started to do was create his own words. So he would never say things like milk or mama, as I said, and I think that was because he was finding the sound difficult. So he would say gulp instead of milk, and only we knew that that was his word for milk. And it sounds quite similar when I say it, but it doesn't when he says it, like gulp. You're like, okay, that means that. And like voo means blue and things like that. So we could tell that he was understanding absolutely everything, so we didn't have an issue with his understanding basic like directions and things like that. He seemed to be getting that, and he was able to do like colour sorting or point at animals in books and things. So we knew that actually there didn't seem to be a problem with his understanding. He wasn't on the, obviously a big thing that was popping in my mind is like autism or something like that, but that wasn't presenting. It was literally just seemed to be speech and his ability to make words. So making up his own words was a kind of sign of that, and something to watch out for if they're kind of using their own words a lot and not just like using baby language for things. Like I know a lot of people don't like that, but I didn't have an issue with like dum dum for dummy or boo boo for breast milk. I don't know what, but it was literally just his own different sounds, different language for words. And as he was getting a bit older, so by around 18 months, we realised that he was having trouble imitating sounds. So if we were to repeat back in the correct way, like daddy, if we would say daddy, daddy, he couldn't say that sound. So it's my radiator going crazy. But yeah, we realised that he had those issues with imitating, and that is something to really watch out for. And it's something I'm already doing with my 1-year-old, is very much like p, d, and trying to get her to repeat sounds back, because I think I didn't do that so much with him. I was letting him get away with being slightly lazy when it came to talking, and maybe that's why I let the problem go on for so long, to the point where now he's 4 and he can't say his own name, which just really hurts me and just makes me feel like I failed him. You're funny, way. Oh no. That's right. What's your baby sister's name? That's right. And what's your big brother's name?
Gary.
Freddie. What's your name?
Yay.
Finn. Say it nicely. The other important thing is to assess this outside. Here he is. He's not tired, it's the morning. He's just come to play with me, so I'm going to finish this up by saying that the other main thing to listen out for or to watch out for is, are other people able to tune in and understand your child? So if they're in some sort of childcare, they explained to me that there's 2 different types. There's one type where a child might be just totally making up their own language and gobbledygook, and it's different the whole time, and that's obviously one thing. But there's another sort of speech delay where people can tune in and understand, and obviously me and my husband were totally tuned in. My son Freddie can totally understand everything Finn says. He had a full-time nanny because I was back at work, and then we put him into nursery to try to really assess, okay, how is this going? This is when he was about 2.5, and I really wanted to address the issue, but I thought first of all I wanted to get him into the nursery environment and see if he was trying to, if he would try harder basically when he was with strangers. And to be honest, it wasn't that, because there's no way that a child with speech delay is being lazy. They genuinely cannot use their mouth to make the noise. Okay, so there's a difference, as I was saying, between language and speech therapy. So a child with a language delay might speak clearly but only be able to put 1 or 2 words kind of together into a sentence. Finn doesn't have that problem. He chats all the time and has a clear phrases, sentences, thoughts and articulation. He has a speech delay, which means that it is the words, pronunciation of the words, that makes it very difficult for him to be understood. So I hope that has helped or been interesting to you. Do leave me any comments below. You know, I'm not an expert by any means. I'm literally just a mum going through this at the moment. So I'm going to do another follow-up video next about what happened next and the stages you need to go through, because I had no idea where to turn to, what to do, how to address it, how long it was going to take. And people would say things like, yeah, they only need 1 or 2 sessions and then they'll be fine. Or, you know, what happens in the school system when there's this type of issue. You know, there's a lot that I'm learning about that I will be happy to share with you. So if you've enjoyed this, do give it a thumbs up. Do subscribe to hear how Finn gets on, because he's doing so good. Bye. See you very soon, guys. Bye. It's the Finny Popolopoulos show. Bye then.